Namaste. Today I want to bring an interesting interview conversation with you with a very important person. I'm also very personally grateful to him. Sitting with me is Guru Dev Yogi Amrit Desai, and we are in Florida in his ashram. I'm here for a yoga and Ayurveda treatment. He teaches yoga, Vedanta, and Ayurveda, the experiential side, the yoga side, the philosophical side, the Vedanta side, and the medical and biological treatment effects of it through Ayurveda, all of this combined. And I've benefited a lot for many years. I've come here many times, and I've wanted to come back, reconnect. It's wonderful to see you.
Thank you, Rajiv.
Yeah?
It's so nice to have you back
Yeah,
here.
I feel at home. This is nice. I feel really at home, and I wanted to explain to my viewers that this is an extraordinary life journey that Yogi Amrit Desai has had, not well known to the general public, the youth, because he's the pioneer who brought yoga to America. You may say he's the founding father of Yoga in America movement. And many of the people who are practicing are so young. Say anyone who's under 40 or 45 wasn't there when these founding things were happening. So it's when the pioneering work was being done in the 60s. So it's important with a living legend to bring some of these facts back, and that's what I would like to do. And I wanted to sort of tell the audience about the 60s when you came.
Right.
I equate it to, there's a forest that has to be cleared up so you can do some agriculture.
Right.
Before you can do farming and grow some gardens and nice flowers, you got to clean the weeds, get rid of all the stuff there, and maybe there's some snakes there, and there's some, all kinds of things that are going to bite you. So you have to be a fighter, you have to be a pioneer, you have to be resilient, you have to really clear the ground. And once it's cleared, then a lot of people can come and say, oh, it's so easy, we can also set up yoga center.
That's beautiful analogy.
So you did the hard work. And therefore, I'm particularly appreciative of people who are breaking new ground, and you did that in the 1960s. So tell us how that felt. What were some of the things that happened then?
Right. When I first came to America, there was hardly any yoga anywhere. Even if you talk about yoga, people think, one time I was talking about yoga and they thought I was talking about yogurt and said, I love yogurt. I said, no, I'm talking about yoga. And in those days, people were so afraid to even tell somebody that they are going to yoga class. So
Some taboo.
that was, yes, because they thought, it's almost like going to a psychiatrist because you are sick. So that's how it was perceived. So it wasn't easy for me to start yoga and to take it to the level where it went, because what I taught was so understandable, acceptable, and practical. But I brought the ancient teachings in the language that they could understand and practice. So when I started teaching yoga, and I first came to America on February 5th, 1960, there was hardly any yoga in America.
So that's 56 years ago.
Right.
My God. Okay. Wonderful.
And that was after, the first was Swami Vivekananda, who came to America, brought the most ancient teachings and received very well all over America. And after that, Paramahansa Yogananda came. And after he left his body in 1952, I came 8 years after. And these masters, they brought the ancient teachings of India, but I was the first one to bring Hatha Yoga. And there were other teachers who had brought Hatha Yoga, but unique quality was I came from the lineage of Lord Lakulish as trained by my guru, Swami Kripalu. So I was bringing something so unique and so authentic yoga that was missing, and even missing even today. So that is why what I taught became very well received, and very popular, so much so that when I first came, I was staying at the International House of Philadelphia. And they had an international festival ball for all the international students to bring their country's message. So I was the one to represent India. So I played flute, and I demonstrated yoga, and I gave a talk on yoga at the festival ball. And there were many newspaper people there as well. So that just exploded.
And we're talking about half a century ago.
Right.
Half a century ago, early 60s. Yeah.
Right.
Fascinating.
And so I was invited on many radio shows, television shows, and newspaper interviews all over.
Big novelty.
Big novelty for them.
Sudden, exotic, interesting from India, teaching us something new.
That's why they were all so fascinated
Yeah.
by what I said and what I demonstrated. So my classes started growing very quickly. And what I taught was also so practical, application of yoga. So so I went to college, by the way, when I first came. I went to Philadelphia College of Art, and I became a very famous artist. And I had many, many awards, and including my show was, I was shown at the Philadelphia Museum of Art as well, which was a great credibility. So even then, I was doing art and yoga both simultaneously, teaching yoga while I was going to college in 1960 on evenings as well as on weekends. But in 1966, I gave up everything and I started teaching full-time yoga. By that time, from 1966 to 1970, it grew so big that I had 150 yoga classes taught in all over Philadelphia, New Jersey.
Every week.
Every week, 150
So
yoga classes.
150 yoga classes per week
Per week, yes.
in the Philadelphia area.
Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware.
So that's the demand within a few years.
Within 66 to 70.
Yes.
And I had trained 50 yoga teachers. There was no yoga teachers, hardly. There were
Now,
few.
if I'm correct, tell me if this is correct. You were the first one to start training Americans to become yoga teachers and certifying yoga, having a proper formal teacher training academy.
Yes. This wasn't there before that.
There were some random, somebody would learn here, there, go to India, learn from a teacher. But a formal, systematic, institutionalized yoga training started by you, of course, is what it took to take off. For the yoga movement to take off, you needed a supply of teachers.
Yes.
And that's what you did.
That is perhaps the first original organization that initiated yoga teacher training in America. Yes.
Excellent. That's a big thing. So then you started the Kripalu from there, the Kripalu Center in Somni Town, Pennsylvania.
No, that is Kripalu Yoga Center in Somni Town, Pennsylvania, because that was about 30 miles from Philadelphia, and it was like 50 acres of land and several buildings. So I wanted to provide this training because I saw people who came to my yoga classes, they came once a week. But I saw that yoga has a tremendous potential, so I wanted to teach more in depth. So I had an ashram where people came from my yoga classes to study more in depth. And
They lived there.
To live there and study.
So now you went to the second stage. First stage, your certification of teachers. Second stage, residential program.
Yes.
So now they have to come and live like in the traditional ashram style.
Yes.
The whole lifestyle.
Exactly.
The whole lifestyle, you change them, you make them vegetarian, they get up in the morning, they have to, from morning till night, the yogic lifestyle.
Exactly. They would wake up every morning, 4 o'clock. Men and women will sit separately, brahmacharya practice, no television, no telephone. And
so you were really bringing the the classical, the traditional Indian lifestyle of yoga, not just asanas and all, but the whole lifestyle of yoga, and starting an ashram where people come and live there to learn this from you.
Right. It started in 1970.
Good.
When there were hardly any established yoga centers for in-depth study for yoga teachers and yoga practitioners. So, and then within a very short time, the residential program grew. Almost 55 to 60 people were living in the ashram.
At any time?
At any time. No, they lived there permanently.
Permanently.
And they were trained to teach the yoga and the related health-related subjects to the people who came there and so it became program center.
So basically you had 50 people involved in training other yoga teachers.
Yes, and train also. It was also Samni Town became a program center, so we were offering many different kinds of programs, spiritual kind of health-related programs. So they became the staff teachers.
Actually, you are pre-Deepak Chopra, if I may say so, because he came much later. But in terms of physical and yoga and the spiritual dimension, connecting all these, living in an ashram, having a 24/7 lifestyle, this is pioneering work.
Yes.
This is pioneering. So then you started Rajbhumi, another center in Rajbhumi, Pennsylvania.
No, that center originally was in Summit Station, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
About 60 miles from the Sumner Town, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And it was much bigger because more and more people wanted to come be in the residential in-depth study program.
Right.
So that also, then that ashram was going in Sumner Town, then new ashram, we had about 150 resident in-depth study program participants. So they left everything to have...
150 at a time?
No, not at a time. Permanent
150
residents.
were the permanent people conducting things.
Right. They were studying in depth as well as they were the teachers for the program center that was offering holistic health program, massage therapist program, yoga teacher training program.
So someone could actually become a certified Ayurvedic massage therapist. Someone could become a certified yoga teacher. Someone could become
somebody
meditation.
can become a holistic health counselor.
Yeah.
And we were also offering master's degree program
Right.
at Summit Station, Pennsylvania, which then, when I moved to Massachusetts,
Right.
I brought all that staff to
Massachusetts.
because that was much bigger property.
And today that is one of the large Hindu temples.
Right.
That property which was yours, when you moved to the next place, a Hindu temple, Vaishnav temple.
Vaishnav Center.
That's a large
They
Vaishnav.
bought it from me.
They bought it from you.
Yes.
Okay.
So then it became a Vrajbhumi. Right now, that is one of the largest center for Vaishnavas in the America.
Sure. And then your center in Massachusetts, which is all of these were called Kripalu after your
My Guru Dev's
guru.
name.
So Kripalu, I've been to the Kripalu Center in Massachusetts. Huge, hundreds of acres.
Right.
I don't know how many hundred acres.
It is 350 acre of property.
And number of rooms is very large.
It has one big building and other two buildings. So big building has 4 stories. Each story is 1 acre. Total is 170,000 square feet of building. So there I brought almost 150 staff from Summit Station, and then within 2 months I had 350 full-time resident volunteer staff that lived in that building, and we could accommodate another 300 guests.
So imagine you have an institution with 350 people on the staff who are working, most of them volunteers, and their job is to run the whole place. So it's an enterprise with 350 people living there, offering various kinds of programs, courses, whatever to various people around. Excellent. And so then you moved from the Kripalu Center to Florida.
Right now
We are in Florida, where some very innovative. This is like, I think of it like the R&D shop, where there is this scientist. He's coming up with all these new things, and I see you in that way. So this has been a big journey. Before we move on, I want to say that Yogi Amrit Desai has been very close to it in the earlier years with BKS Iyengar. I've seen a lot of your pictures in 1970 with BKS Iyengar. Later on with well, also in the World Parliament where they gave you an award, a special award which was given to only a few people in the 1980s. And then the Prime Minister, one of the Prime Ministers nominated you for the Padam Vibhushan.
Right. It was late Prime Minister Chandrasekhar.
Chandrasekhar nominated him for that. So he's been well recognized in that era. In that era, the people of that generation really know you very well. I mean, those people have a huge regard. It's just that today's generation, which is my target, might not know these things, and they need to know.
Right.
They need to know these things. So the Yogi Amrit Desai has been written about in USA Today, New York Times, Smithsonian publication, all sorts of things. And you trained some thousands of teachers during these years, probably more than anyone else, or one of the largest teacher training persons.
Yeah, because I started teacher training program, perhaps the first one in America, and I had 150 yoga teachers trained. I'm talking about starting in 1965 to 1970, and then everywhere, every ashram that I have had, there was teacher training program. From Sumney Town teacher training program to Summit Station Yoga Center teacher training program to Kripalu Center teacher training program. Now in Amrit Yoga Institute in Florida teacher training program. So we have trained more than 8 to 10,000 yoga teachers teaching in 40 countries around the world.
So there's 8 to 10,000 yoga teachers in the US, Canada, various Western countries and various countries around the world. You have certified them, trained them, your method, and they are running their practices, they are running their yoga centers.
Yes.
So you actually created a huge franchise.
Yes.
A huge franchise where everybody's independent, of course, and they're doing whatever their own thing, but you've supplied them with the know-how.
Right.
And
the most unique part of this is our quality of teacher training is so unique that many teachers from different traditions of yoga, they come here to add this dimension on top of their own teacher training qualification.
So now, as one of the pioneers of yoga, I also, by the way, interviewed BKS Iyengar on his 90th birthday in Pune.
Really?
Way back, several years ago. I met Swami Satchidanand, did not get to interview him. Now, I think you were a pioneer. BKS Iyengar trained a lot of people. Who else trained Satchidanand? Swami Satchidanand trained 3 people. Are these the 3 main people who created the yoga industry in the United States? Can we say, is that a safe thing to
Yes,
say?
yes.
That,
then
Prabhupada brought bhakti.
Right.
Maharishi brought meditation.
Right, and I was the original one who brought Hatha Yoga to the West.
So you brought Hatha Yoga to the West. BKS Iyengar came later?
He came later.
And Swami Satchidanand?
Yes, came later.
So,
and there might be some other yogis that I do not know.
But not as large.
But the main thing is I reached out to the largest number of people, and the yoga center that I started became the largest in the world. And it was one of the largest centers in 70s when I had 150 yoga classes.
Yeah. So this pioneering work cannot be underestimated when you write the history of American yoga. Because people are writing things and they are skipping, bypassing, sidetracking major persons and major events for their own agendas. And my job is to make sure that this is not forgotten. The legacy that you have created for the whole American yoga industry, if you call it an industry, and the yoga practitioners owe you a lot because you were the pioneer who brought this. And then a couple of other Hindu gurus, major persons from India also came, BKS Iyengar and Swami Satchidanand.
Oh, they have made a definitely contribution.
And they made a huge contribution. And then came Maharishi with meditation.
Right.
Not the Hatha Yoga, not the yoga part, but the meditation. And Prabhupada with the bhakti.
Right.
And various others came for many things. But I think as far as the yoga itself is concerned, you brought the original force into it.
Right.
And this is what I wanted to make sure is established. So,